Hey guys, this is Ideas of Ice and Fire, and today I'm doing a Q&A like I said I would after the episode. So today I'm joined by Robert from In Deep Geek, and you should definitely check out his channel. He does breakdowns of A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones. They're really good, some of the best in my opinion. He also has one of the best voices in the A Song of Ice and Fire community in my opinion. But first off, I just want to say thanks to everyone for all the support that I got on that review of the last episode. I did not know what to expect when I put out that, but wow, you guys really came through for me. I mean, this is my first video ever to be on YouTube's trending list. 18,000 likes in 24 hours is definitely a record for my channel, so I just want to start off by saying thank you for that. So Robert, how are you doing? What did you think of this episode first off? I wanted to ask you that. What was your opinion on it? Because you've seen my video, you know my opinion. But what's your opinion, Robert?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on and for saying I've got a good voice. Not as fine as yours, though, if you don't mind me saying. But my general take on this is I come from the perspective is that this is no longer an adaptation of the book series. That the dividing line was somewhere around season 4, season 5. From that point on, George R. R. Martin left the process. He gave the broad brush strokes. And so what we've got now is the showrunners version of what they wanted to happen. So I take everything within that context rather than trying to see whether or not it makes sense within the books. I try to see whether this makes sense within the kind of the narrative arcs that the showrunners have been creating. And within that, my general take is to say the first 90% of it, I think absolutely, to be honest, really, really good TV. I think that there are some amazing things. The first 10 minutes of just silence when they hardly said anything, you could just see what was happening. Fantastic. I thought what they did with Melisandre at the end was brilliant. The music was amazing. And I can't remember the last time I spent so long just anxiously waiting for the end because I needed to know what was going to happen. So I thought the vast majority of it completely really good TV, I have to say. The bit that, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit more in a moment, but the ending I know has divided opinion. I have mixed feelings about this, but my general view is that the showrunners did tee up themselves the Arya twist, and so although it wasn't the ending that I wanted, I have to respect the fact that the showrunners did give us the clues that that was where they were going to be going.
I think that's a really, really good take. It's excellent. And yeah, I share a lot of the same sentiments. I thought the episode, for the most part, the majority of it was pretty dang good. This was a pretty impressive, episode as a whole. But then there were just some decisions that I had, serious gripes with. And that just kind of spoiled the whole thing for me personally. Because I think I have a harder time than you do, kind of divorcing it from the books. I still, look at it and I think about what it could be, and I have a harder time just saying but yeah, I think we do share a lot of the same sentiments, and so I think we can it's pretty easy for us to shift into the first question then. So here's the first question, and I'm just gonna give what I think, and then you can jump in, say what you think about this. So what was Bran doing exactly? Him warging didn't make much sense is what the question says. So I watched this episode a couple times, and upon my second or third watch, I noticed something that I didn't notice the first time. So in that scene, Theon sees that the trenches have been lit, and he says, "The trenches are lit. The trenches have been lit." And then, right after that, Bran says, "I'm going now." Wargs into the Ravens, and he goes up behind the Night King for some reason. And then in that same moment, it's at that moment that the Night King kind of does this little force push movement with his hand. And then the whites start dumping themselves over into the trench and putting it out. So that was almost too odd. And so that made me think that there was some kind of perhaps communication that went down between Bran and the Night King in that moment, because it seemed like that's what happened. But what do you think? Maybe I'm just being a little bit too conspiratorial. What do you think, Robert? What's your take on this?
Well, I mean, I like it, and I love the idea that there's another big twist coming.
Hmm.
That I don't think they've given us the evidence for it yet. Just a few little things like that you go, oh, we might be able to look back on and say, oh, now I understand what was going on there. I tend with these things as a first guess to go with a sort of an Occam's razor of what's the simplest solution. That tends to work. This is perhaps sort of damning the showrunners a bit, but with trying to get inside the showrunners' minds, if you try and think out what is the simplest solution to what is it that they're trying to do, that quite often works. And for me, the simplest thing is he just wanted to know where the Night King was.
Hmm.
Because whereas he is very clear, the Night King always knows where I am. He says this a lot. It seems that he doesn't know where the Night King is. It's not a two-way thing. So it's he did it last season. He did like this little scouting mission to just to see where the Night King was, where the army was at, what was going on there. The same kind of thing happened. The birds were there. The Night King looked up, and they all sort of like
Yeah.
flew off. So I think the simplest solution is that was what it was. I mean, with my tongue in cheek, I would say perhaps he read the internet that week and realized that, oh, hang on a moment, maybe the Night King had gone down to King's Landing like everybody suggested he did. But uh, it's possible that he was just there going, well, I know the army's here, but he's not turned up yet. And the way the showrunner seemed to want us to understand what was going on was that Bran was setting this all up. He gave the knife to Arya. He wanted to be in the Godswood. It was him setting this up. But the one thing which he didn't have control of was the Night King himself. And so the simplest answer to that question is that he was simply checking to make sure that the Night King was.
Again, like really, really, really good take. Yeah, using Occam's razor probably makes the most sense when dealing with the show. It's just like my mind works in a way where it's just like I have to think of the most like kind of weird thing possible, or
Yeah, I
like
get that.
yeah, yeah. So I was trying to figure out like were they trying to make something of that little moment, that little exchange, because it seemed like so like if you wanted to put something here, like they're leaving the door open where they totally could if they wanted to. And yeah, but you're probably right. It's probably nothing. It's probably like Bran just literally flew around with the Ravens watching everything this entire episode
Yeah.
and did nothing to help, which is I mean, make what you want of that. So I guess
It seems in
yes.
character for him to be look. That's what he does. I mean, in the books, I think he's going to be a lot more proactive. But here on the show, he basically is just watching things and learning things and understanding stuff.
You're
And
completely
so
right.
it makes sense to me that that's what he's doing. He's set things in motion. He just wants to see what's going on.
Yep, and that's what he's done since he got back from that tree. That's exactly what he's done. So that's perfectly consistent. Yeah, there's no argument for me there. Okay, so I guess we can move on to the next question. So, no name okay ask, what is the most uninteresting way they can defeat Cersei? And then they snarkily said, because that's how it's gonna go, lol. So, for me, I think obviously for me the most uninteresting way they could defeat Cersei would be have Arya sneak in there and kill her, because I think it would just be so just kind of just deflating to have Arya not only kill the Night King, which I don't have a problem with her actually killing the Night King. I had a problem with the execution, but like her being the one to do it, I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. But her killing the Night King and then also taking out Cersei would be like, so she takes out both of the main villains. So what is this, the Arya show? So I'm hoping that they don't do that. And I saw a lot of people theorizing that she would because of the whole brown eyes, blue eyes, and green eyes things. A lot of people pointing out Cersei has green eyes, but I'm really hoping that they don't. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as cynical as the person who asked that question. I think that they will try and create drama. I don't think that they're going to go for the most uninteresting way. For me, the most uninteresting way is actually what I think someone like, say, Tywin would do if he had dragons, which is exactly what Danny was suggesting, which is just fly down there and roast the entirety of King's Landing. It would get rid of the problem in the first half of one episode,
For
and then
sure.
she would set it up, and yes, she might have some trouble in the north, but frankly, if she has got, as it looks from the trailer for the next episode, if she's still got two dragons, then the Targaryens, when they invaded, they had three dragons, and they just that's how they did it. They burned things until everyone else bent the knee. that it wouldn't make for interesting TV, but that would be the logical tactical solution if you're ruthless. And so that would be, for me, I would find that quite dull. I want a lot more tension in there. I want some stakes. I want some sort of build up. I want an understanding about how they're going to try and get her out without just killing her, just
Same.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Same here. And honestly, after the Long Night episode, I'm kind of fatigued. I don't know if I necessarily want to see another gigantic battle. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of struggle, but I don't know if I necessarily want to see them fight again to defeat Cersei. I want to see something that's a bit more nuanced and a little bit maybe more diplomatic, and or just give me some different elements. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I do, and I think so. Just to add on to this one, the what I'm convinced of with the books is that this isn't going to end up as being whoever's the best fighter wins, because that doesn't seem to be George R. R. Martin's style. What they did when the battle in the north with the White Walkers of the Night King kind of headed towards that. It was that Arya was really good, and therefore she killed the Night King. So I would be disappointed if it was some other version of the same thing that happens down south in King's Landing. Whoever has got the biggest army or the best tactics or is the sneakiest fighter. I want there to be a way of defeating the Cersei, the second big bad, without it just being violence.
Yes, 100%. I completely agree. We're on the same page here. So let's move on to our next question. So Louise Milton, I can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry, ask, so the TV show simply contradicted Dany's vision in the House of the Undying. Now how will there be a total broken throne room covered in snow? Well, I don't think they're contradicting it just yet, because I think that could still happen. There are a few ways that could still happen, and like Robert just said, I mean, one of the ways that could happen would be Daenerys like setting fire to the Red Keep and just killing Cersei inside of the throne room with dragons. And the thing is, too, it's still winter. I don't know why it's not snowing in King's Landing, but it still should be winter. I don't think killing the Night King just gets rid of winter. So, and then also another way that could happen would be, Cersei does have wildfire. I know we've already kind of used that in a previous season, but I still could see Cersei if she sees her end and she knows that she's going to be defeated. I still don't discount the Mad Queen idea where she says, screw all of this. I'm going to just take everyone out with me. And if I can't have the throne, no one can. And she sets fire to the Red Keep, taking herself out. So I don't think that's completely discounted yet. But then it could also be viewed metaphorically in several different ways. The snow could represent Jon Snow or something. And then also in that scene, that sequence, Dany never touches the throne, so that could be metaphorical for a lot of different things as well. So your take, Robert?
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. I mean, just on a point of detail in the vision, it looks like the damage is from above in my
Mm-hmm.
mind rather than below, because the stuff from ground level doesn't seem to be charred or broken or anything, but the ceiling's all gone and the tops of the walls are all gone. So whatever happens looks like it wasn't wildfire. It looks more like dragon fire. But I tend to err more towards what you were saying at the end there, is that we focus in on that bit of the vision, but really there was another bit as well when she goes out from there and she goes into the tent with Drogo and Rhaego, her child that never or wasn't born alive and therefore didn't grow up, and that we don't take literally as she's literally going to experience Drogo and Rhaego being there alive, and then she goes out and walks north of the wall and sort of through the gates. I think it was at Castle Black, and again that we don't take literally. We just say, okay, so this is just an image of her going north of the wall. So I think that we should take that first section of the throne room in the similarly kind of not literal sense, but just to try and understand what are the themes that they're going to bring out here. I think the reaching out and not touching the throne, for me, I agree. This is saying you will get close to the throne. You may even have it within your grasp, but you're not going to be queen. I think that would be how I'd interpret it. I think the snow, I interpret that as being Jon Snow, because he is, the way they've set it up in the show, Jon Snow is the rightful king, not her. And it being desolate with the dragon fire from above destroying a lot of it, then it is this echo of her father's King of Ashes kind of moment. Is that this is again? It's this the figuratively saying what could well be in her future, and so that would be the way I would take it. It's not in the way that Bran's visions are glimpses of the future, a snapshot of a thing that happened in the past or will happen in the future, a memory, if you like. This is a vision and a figurative vision, not a literal vision.
I mean, I completely agree. And if you even look at the House of the Undying in the books, it's all presented in metaphors. Like all of it is metaphor completely. So yeah, when you think about it that way, there really is no reason to take that sequence literally, considering that the visions in the book version are mostly figurative, and considering that the other visions that she sees in the show are also figurative. So again, very, very good points. All right.
Also,
So we got one more question. It says, so the North tremendously lost people. Why should they fight for the South that mostly all sat on their asses? No Dornish, no Stormlanders, Reachers. Cersei rules the South, but come on, she's just in the Crown Lands. The South is trash. Okay, so that's kind of a good point actually, and I think that's gonna be where some of the drama comes from in the next few episodes because they've already been setting this up from the very beginning. So there's a few points here. So Sansa is pretty Sansa is pretty dead set on the North being independent. And she is not gonna let this whole Dany taking the North thing fly, and I'm pretty sure the people of the North are pretty much behind Sansa. And then there's that scene between Jon and Arya, where Arya kind of subtly threatens Jon almost, and she says, "Remember who your family is," and Arya is pretty much indicating that she's loyal to Sansa. So, and then another layer on this is what Jon reveals to Dany, and then what Sansa says to Dany. So I'm looking at this like from Dany's perspective, I feel like it would be really easy for her to look at this like the Starks are against me. Sansa Stark is against me. Jon Snow is now claiming that he's the rightful heir. So Dany could definitely be feeling a bit antagonized here. And Jon is going to have to make a decision. Who does he side with? Does he side with Daenerys, the woman he loves, or does he side with his sisters? So I feel like that's going to be a very interesting conflict. So bottom line is Dany is going to feel like everyone is against her, and the Northerners are not going to want to come south to help her fight this war, no matter what Jon Snow agreed to, because Jon Snow bent the knee and they're mad at him because of that. So Jon Snow might go down, but the Northerners are staying in the North with Sansa. So yeah, I don't. What's your take on this, Robert?
yeah, I think I agree with all of that. So the short answer is why should the North fight for the South? Is I don't think they should, and I don't think they will. I, I Danny is definitely going to go down south, but at the moment she's got her dragons and actually not many other people. The Unsullied and the Dothraki were decimated, so she's actually not, unless she threatens to roast Winterfell, she's not in a position to be threatening them or getting them to do what she wants. All Sansa has to do is say, "Look, I've only got a few dozen people left myself. We need to rebuild this castle because it's winter and we need to save lives up here and all that." There's no reason for her to actually commit any troops down south at all. So I don't see any reason why they will. I think Danny is going to go down there. I can see that John is probably going to do some. This is just my guesswork. I'm going to do a trailer breakdown of the episode 4 trailer. It may even be out by the time this goes out. But John, I think, is probably going to go down. It looks separately, actually, him and Davos looking at just the trailer. He may well be trying to toe some middle line, maybe try and cut a deal with Cersei or something along those lines. So I don't think that the North will. I think that Sansa will definitely want to be playing a part in this, but any kind of deal she cuts will be independence for the North.
Absolutely, absolutely. Robert, we agree on a lot of stuff. You know,
Of course we do.
yeah, I should definitely have
We're
you
both
on more
right.
often. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was great. It was great. So we only had 4 questions. Those were pretty much the most common questions that I was getting over and over again. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. I always love having a chat with you. So yeah, you can find him in Deep Geek on YouTube. And tell the people the places they can find you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's always an honor and pleasure. It's you're one of the most wonderful, erudite and intelligent analysts of Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones. So it's a delight chatting with you.
Thank
If
you.
you want to check out my channel, it's In Deep Geek, and I'm also on all of the normal social media things like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. If you just hunt for In Deep Geek, you will find me there as well. I cover Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, and after this, I'm going to be starting to branch out into Tolkien as well, the world of Middle Earth and things like
Yeah.
that. So if you're interested in that, then keep an eye out on my channel for that as well.
All right. That's been great. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out his channel. Peace out, guys.